It is about 5:30 in the afternoon. It is Thursday, March 30th of 2023, which also happens to be DDM Squad's birthday. Happy birthday, DDM Squad. Congratulations, and good job. In any case, I shall start by introducing myself. My name is Mark. That is not my real name, but it will do for now. It is the name of this little character that I've chosen to represent myself with. And welcome to this little project that I've decided to do. So, why am I doing this, right? I had a talk with my mother some time ago, and she suggested that I start a little platform for myself, just some videos of me just talking into the camera, based on whatever comes to mind. Don't worry about form and presentation all that much, don't worry about making it professional, just say whatever. And the reason for this being, I am fairly bad with socializing. I have trouble talking to people and getting my point across, usually in conversations. I'm a fairly shy person. I do not get out of my bubble a lot, I guess, and my mother just figured that it might be good for me to have an outlet or some sort of plug where I am able to share my thoughts uninterrupted, because usually in face-to-face speech, I either, stumble over my words a lot, or I just kind of refuse to talk in social situations, and in front of people that I am comfortable talking with, like my mother, for instance, 我会说中国话，抱歉，我会说普通话，我说的蛮好的，but there's some things are lost in translation. There's a language barrier between me and my mother, because as decent as it is for someone who has grown up in the West, there is definitely a lot of stuff that's lost in translation, and sometimes in communicating. Sometimes all the meaning is packed into the little details that end up being all cut out. So in any case, my mother decided it would be good if, me, someone who is fairly bad with, people things, but has a lot of ideas and wants to say a lot of things, to have this sort of digital platform where I can pretty much give myself a voice, right? And this will not be meant to... I'm not going to share anything groundbreaking or totally mind-blowing or anything like that. This will mostly just be mundane thoughts on, whatever's on my mind. And the reason I'm doing this instead of, let's say, making like a blog post or doing anything else text-based is because I just have this little problem of being a perfectionist. Usually when I write something, I'll just try and rewrite it and edit it so many times just to find the best way to communicate it that usually I'll just forget what I was even trying to say in the first place, which is a bit of a problem. And fortunately, in videos, it's less of a problem because it's harder for me to go back and edit and all that. But this is actually like my 4th or 5th take of this video because I wasn't happy with the other versions, if that says anything to you about me. In any case, what I'll be talking about, it's mostly just whatever I'm thinking of. It'll be fairly random for the most bit with no rhyme or reason, and for the most part, it will be me talking about my own experiences, my own thoughts and feelings, because I'm not someone who likes to give out information and then turn around and, turns out it's false, right? Turns out I'm wrong. This is kind of all I know, or at least all I'm sure to know. I do kind of want to be a teacher when I grow up, though. That's kind of cool. So I would have to get used to, telling people about things that I may be a little less familiar about, but also accepting that, I might, obviously I don't want to teach people false information, but talking to people as in like sharing subjects that are, less focused on me and on my life. But for now, this is what we have. And in case you are wondering, no, I will not be really venting here. I mean, venting as in like sharing anything that is overwhelmingly emotional or personal or anything like that. Everything on here is obviously things that I want to say, and, just things that you maybe like hit up a friend about and, have a little hangout, a little chit-chat about random musings you have on life and all its little details. And obviously I will not be bad-mouthing anyone. I will not be sharing any personal or intimate details, aside from my voice, and maybe bits and pieces of my upbringing, but it won't be anything that I will be uncomfortable with talking about, and it won't be anything that people might be, whoa, why is this guy talking about this kind of stuff on a public platform, right? Since I think it's a fairly normal human experience to, want to share your thoughts, your feelings, your experiences, maybe a bit about your background, but not too much, not to overdo it or anything. Um, you could probably already tell this, but despite the fact that this is like a cute little virtual character that's talking for me over here, I am not playing any sort of role. Like, I will be talking pretty out of character, like the voice actor, me. Um, some people online do know me as Lucas K. Lucas K is in fact the person that's speaking in this video. He's not voicing some sort of auxiliary, if that's the right word. He's not playing a role. And so for the most part, most of this will be fairly genuine. This is not scripted and this is not premeditated in any way. It is just whatever comes to mind. So, with that out of the way, I'll just be answering a couple of questions that I asked my Discord server to ask me, just so I've got a bit of an icebreaker. Just to share some random trivia about me before that. I like bunnies. You can probably tell. I have a bit of a speech problem, if you can tell. With that out of the way, I'm a fairly flawed person myself. I have my issues and troubles, and obviously things that I can't just whisk away, and I can't, put on a mask of like having another character, right? So sometimes the way and I say things will be flawed, and I hope you will be. Sorry, I gotta clean my nose a little bit. I know my model's jittering out a little bit. Oh, sorry. Just had to take care of my nose. That out of the way. Let's answer a couple of questions. Mari asked me, "How's it like being that cute?" I'm not cute. I'll be honest with you. I'm not much of a looker. I'm ugly. If I wasn't ugly, then I wouldn't hide behind this cute little virtual character, right? But on a serious note, was it difficult getting everything done? I know it was made in a few days, but was it hard? Yes, it was made in a few days. I would say exactly 3, because there was that one evening I came home and decided, what if I made my character in Vroid, right? And I did a fairly good job on the hair, in my opinion. I know it's nothing special, nothing complex, but for a somewhat early attempt, honestly, and if you're familiar with my content beforehand, you probably know how wacky Mark's hair is. I think I did a fairly good job. But yeah, it took me about like 3 evenings or 3 afternoons, because I do go to school, so that maybe adds up to like 1.5 work days total. Was it hard? It was more tedious than hard, honestly. A lot of it was playing the waiting game, waiting for my computer to load all the assets and load the software, because it's a little old. I crammed a lot of stuff on it. There's a lot of files I need to go through and delete, but more than anything, I think the challenging parts was just figuring out the texture. But the little strategy I used was just to kind of do a basic sketch on the model itself, so I can see it how it plays out in like actually on the model, right? And then I would export that template out of the clothes or whatever onto my tablet, and that's not difficult to do. It's just airdrop, right? But it is fairly annoying, because it can be a lot of files sometimes, and currently my iPad is absolutely begging for mercy. It's just filled with all sorts of random pictures of like stuff I need to delete, and a lot of it is just back and forth tweaking things, which isn't challenging so much. It is just very tedious and demanding of patience. Vroid, I'm pretty sure, is made for beginners, so it has its limitations in being, not a super advanced software. But in terms of that, sometimes you can get some creative workarounds. Like, for example, I don't like how the coat textures are so thin. Like, you can just see it's a flat texture just molded into some shape. It doesn't really look like it has volume. But a little workaround that I did for that was just to make a copy of the clothing and make it a little smaller. So I don't know if you can really see it, but no, you can't really tell because I can't turn myself around a lot here, but it does. I did a little thing to like, give it an inside to try and make it look like it has more volume, right? And I'm painting the inside red because I thought it would be a little weird if a jacket looked the same inside out and outside in. Aldwin asked me, "Do I plan to do any riggings, and if so, who's next?" Likely not. As mentioned, this is fairly demanding of my time and energy, and I don't think I will be using other characters to communicate because I always have this thing where if I make something, then I want to do something with it, right? And I don't think I have a need for anything else at the moment, although I did decide to make this model of Mark pretty much on a whim, but he is my favorite character, as some of my friends and a few of my followers may know about already. And so, in the near future, probably not. Don't expect anything. I might open like free requests on like Toy House or something. Just say, "Hey man, your characters are cool. I drop down to like cool characters and I might like make their hair in Vroid just to like get a better hand at it, just as practice, But as for full models, likely not. Dante wife in the reel, and as you can see, the animation is a little jittery, but I'm checking my phone. Asks, when can I kiss him? I assume you mean when can I kiss Mark? And he's not very comfortable with affectionate contact with people he is unfamiliar with. I suppose so. And he is not very keen on making new friends. He's just like me. He's very awkward socially, and he's bad with people. So I would say likely not for a very long time until he like starts getting a little more comfortable with getting kisses from random people. But to be fair, most people are not very comfortable with that. So unfortunately, I do not think you will be able to kiss him anytime soon, but I will let you know if that changes. Number 1 Arby's sauce fan asked me, "What's your favorite dessert and why is it cheesecake?" I do not really like cheesecake, actually. It is not my favorite. I'm not sure what it is about it I don't like, but I don't really vibe with the I don't really vibe with the treat. My favorite dessert is Black Forest cake, and it's a really stupid reason. It's just because that's the cake I always have on my birthday. It's just a bit of a tradition for my family that nobody knows where it came from or why it even is. But aside from that, since Black Forest cake isn't really something I can eat all the time, I like vanilla ice cream. And Corn M Ball asked me, where do I buy my clothes? So a while ago, I was on a lot of these cheap e-commerce websites, and I would order a lot of clothes in like a very particular fashion. I was fairly stylish, I think. I had a very distinct way of dressing myself. But the problem was that, as cute and as nice as the designs were, the clothes were really cheap, right? Because I was spending my own money that I make from commissions, and if you've ever taken commissions and you're not that big of an artist, you can tell that that's not a lot of money. And to get more products, I guess I went for the really cheap stuff. But the problem with really cheap stuff and the problem with e-commerce in general is that usually the product you get is not very high quality. So usually after a few goes, there's still lots of clothes that are still holding up really well, actually, that I do like wearing out. But a few of them here and there do degrade after, not even very much rigorous use. So the problem with those is that I'd spend a lot of money and get things for cheap, but the products I get do not last very long. And I think that's just part of growing up and understanding that, like, sometimes cheap things aren't, the best option. Sometimes you have to, like, consider the quality of things too, although it can be pretty difficult sometimes, and you just decide to settle for cheaper things because that's just that's the easiest option. And I would know that because of I don't have a lot of money. But aside from that, I kind of just gave the clothes shopping duty to my mom. She does like show me some stuff like, hey man, do you like this? What kind of styles do you like? So I do have a bit of a hand in the decision, but for the most part, it is actually my mom that picks out my clothes. And if she's not picking out my clothes, well, she would still be either way, but I would just sometimes wear hand-me-downs from my other family, which is good, right? It's good to be resourceful. And a lot of my older family members have stuff that I can use now, which mom probably also picked out, but yeah, a lot of my coats and stuff are actually like from my parents. It's pretty good to be resourceful. In any case, thank you for watching this video. Again, this will be a fairly personal project, although I will say it's a fairly safer public viewing, of course. But this is really just meant as a way for me to express myself. It is not meant to entertain a certain group of people, because I know a lot of these VTubers, they call it, they have characters, and these characters are usually deliberately designed to be engaging or interesting or, friendly, right? I'm not like that, because this is me, and I'm socially awkward. So, I'm just making these videos as if nobody's watching them. But of course my perfectionism does get in the way a little bit. But this is, pretty much just an outlet for me, myself, and I, right? This is something that I make for my own enjoyment and for my own communication. But I suppose it's also nice to just get it out there. I'd be lying if I said I didn't do this for attention, because otherwise I wouldn't make it public, right? It's just kind of nice being able to, like, talk to people, like, whoever out there might be listening, right? But I'm not having any high expectations in that regard. But in any case, that's about all for today. Thank you, and good night.